Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben, your go-to podcast for all things green and growing. I'm Ben, your allotment guide, and here to help you cultivate your garden and your passion for plants. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just starting out, this podcast is for you. Each episode will dig into tips, tricks and techniques to make your garden and allotment thrive. From planting, sowing and growing, we will share all the tips and advice. We will also have regular episodes talking about what we have been up to on the allotment. So sit back, grab a brew and enjoy today's episode. Hey everyone and welcome back to Gardening with Ben. Well, happy hump day. We are now in the middle of the week. It's nearly the weekend. Whoop, 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 whoop. We're nearly at the weekend. It's nearly time to get back to those allotments and gardens if you're working in the week like I am. So yeah, we do look forward to them weekends, and I do look forward to spending all my time down there at the weekend. And it's currently still decent weather. We still haven't had a frost that I know of yet where I am, and it's like 12th of November, 13th of November already, and we've not had no frost. And another thing I've noticed is we've not had any rain for ages. I don't know if it's like it where you are, but we've not had no rain. They'll be calling on a drought before you know it. But yeah, it's bizarre weather. Certainly is strange at the moment how we've not had no rain, no frost. It's just dry, and I'm needing it to rain to water my onions and my garlic, but it's just not coming. We're having to water myself in November, and yeah, it's very bizarre. But yeah, what are we talking about today? Well, today's episode is all about planning for next season. We are at that time of year when we're starting to think about what we want to do down at the allotment gardens next year. And I love this time of year. And obviously, as I'm doing my plot at the moment, I'm stripping it all back, I'm digging it all over, I'm clearing all my beds, I'm providing a blank canvas ready for next year. Like, obviously, some stuff will stay where they are, like all my fruit trees, all my fruit bushes, my rhubarb. That'll all stay where it is. But all my beds are completely empty, and we'll be starting from scratch again next year. And what I usually do at this time of year, I usually get a piece of paper, draw all my beds out, and write down where I want to grow stuff next year and where I plan on growing it, planting it, sowing it, and yeah, I decide on what I want to do. And my allotment gets quite a bit of shade on it, so I have to think about what's will grow in the shade and what won't grow in the shade. And when you're planning on what you want to grow on your allotment next year, you need to look at what's being grown where. You need to grow stuff in different places each year, because each vegetable uses different nutrients from the ground, so it's not good to grow the same thing in the same place year after year. It's good to keep rotating stuff around, and obviously improve your soil as well over the winter period, ready for planting next year. And that can either be with compost, mulch, or it can be with fertilizer, anything to improve it and make it more nutritious, ready for growing next year, and hopefully getting some good crops in. So we'll obviously draw as planned, we'll write down where we want stuff to grow, and we'll think about what we want to grow next year. And one of the ways that I think about what I want to grow next year is I just either think of something like, say, squash, and I'll just Google or look on Amazon or in a seed catalogue at different varieties of squash to grow. And I like growing different new varieties every single year of different things. And obviously, if you go to a garden centre, you won't get that as many varieties in the garden centre or a DIY shop. You'll only get your standard varieties that you will see. So have a look online, have a look in different seed magazines, etc., and try and grow something different next year. And it's really interesting to do. Whether you'll eat them or not, it's just the fun of growing them. And I've done this for a few years now. And one year I did different varieties of squash. One year I did different varieties of beans, as there's loads of different varieties of beans. There's like purple beans, there's like speckled beans, yellow beans, black beans, red beans. There's all different varieties of beans. And it's just good to try different varieties. And then sometimes experimenting, growing different varieties, you may find one what's really easy to grow and tastes delicious. Now, I did this as well for growing cauliflower. I saw a purple variety of cauliflower. Yes, purple. Not white, but purple. I've never had any luck growing white cauliflowers very well. I thought, oh, I'll give these purple ones a try. It's worth a shot. Fill up a space. I'd got some seeds, and they did absolutely fantastic. The curd on them were absolutely brilliant, and they tasted absolutely delicious. So yeah, it's good to try different varieties because things might actually grow better. So always experiment down at the allotment. And I might actually try that with carrots next year because obviously I've not had much luck with growing carrots. So I might actually do my experiment with carrots next year, try different varieties of carrots and see which ones I can actually get growing. So let me know if you fancy doing different experiments and trying different stuff next year. It's always good to hear what everybody else is up to. And there's not many other sort of things that you can try with different varieties, really. There's not an awful lot of different variety stuff out there. Obviously, you get like different varieties of tomatoes, which is good. There's plenty of different varieties of tomatoes coming out. There's white ones. My dad grew some white tomatoes last year, and they were delicious, and they did fantastic, and he grew them outside. They did really well. So there's lots of different varieties out there. And what I tend to do as well sometimes is I'll go to the supermarket or to the garden centre, and I'll just write down all the different types of seeds. I think, oh, I'll try that one this year, I'll try that one next year. And I also write a little log as well. I create like a little log. I go online and I buy a seed catalogue, seed diary every year, like a planting diary. And you can write down when you've planted stuff, how well it's done, when it germinated, where you planted it. And that is a very good thing to try as well. So yeah, there's plenty of different things out there for you to try when you're growing stuff. And it's exciting. It's exciting to try different stuff. You don't understand how easy it is to grow different types of stuff on the allotment. And you don't realize how many different varieties of things there actually are out there, because if you go to a supermarket, for instance, you'll just see your standard vegetables. You won't see any different varieties of vegetables because they won't sell them in the supermarket because people won't buy them. It's like if you were to go to a supermarket and you had a white beetroot, for instance, people wouldn't buy a white beetroot because they'd think, wow, that's strange. I'm not buying that. It might taste funny. They'll only buy what they know is going to taste nice, if you get me. So that's the reason why it's best to grow these things that are different varieties, because you'll never actually try them unless you grow them yourself, because they'll not sell them in supermarkets anywhere. So it's always good to try different varieties of stuff. So if you are listening to this podcast, do get involved. Send me a message. Let me know what different types of varieties of vegetables that you have tried growing and what you plan on trying growing as well. And I might give melons another go next year, as I've not grown them for a few years now, and I grew some cantaloupe melons in my polytunnel. Wouldn't be able to grow them outdoors because it's not hot enough, but I grew them in my polytunnel and they did absolutely fantastic. And I had some really nice, delicious melons on them. And I didn't think I'd be able to grow them in this country, to be honest, but as it's starting to get warmer sometimes, some summers, I thought I'd give them a try, and yeah, they did really well. So I might give cantaloupe melons another go next year. And yeah, they were absolutely delicious. And each plant got a few melons on them. So they did absolutely fantastic. I've never tried growing watermelon. I don't think watermelon would grow very well here, to be honest, but it's not something that I might give a try. But I'm going to look out and try and see what different types of varieties stuff are out there and see about trying some new stuff as well. So I might get myself a seed catalogue from one of these companies. There's plenty of companies out there that give seed catalogues out, and you can have a look through them and then see all the different varieties they are that are in there. Obviously, you can look on the website, but sometimes it's easier to navigate through a magazine rather than through somebody's website, I often find. And then you can circle them and think, oh, I'll have that one, I'll have that one. And then you can go online and buy them once you've circled them and found which ones that you want to grow. So it is all good fun trying different varieties of produce out there. So if you are listening to this podcast and you are just a standard grower, you just grow standard stuff and you've never tried experimenting growing different types of stuff, have a go next year. Let me know how you get on. I'd love to hear how you're growing and what you are growing. And I love to hear from you all as well. So yeah. And I hope you're enjoying all these podcasts. They have been coming out on a daily basis now, which is fantastic. So I'm having to find different topics to talk about every single day, which can be hard sometimes, but I'm getting there. I probably cover a few things quite a few times, but I am having a little chat with you all and talking on different topics every day. If you have got any topics that you'd like me to talk about, please do drop me a message and give me some suggestions. I don't know anything about no-dig gardening, so don't ask about no-dig gardening because it's not something that I actually do. But yeah, if there is anything out there that you'd like me to chat about on a podcast, please do let me know. Also, on my YouTube channel and my Instagram channel, I've been posting daily questions as well. Thank you for everybody that's got involved in the questions. Yesterday's question was, do you use gardening gloves or do you not? Do you like to get your hands mucky and get them dirty? Or do you like to wear the gardening gloves and keep them clean? I'm certainly one for getting my hands mucky. I never wear gardening gloves. I'll only wear gardening gloves if I'm messing around with brambles or nettles. But yeah, I'll never wear gardening gloves down at the allotment. So that was yesterday's daily question. So if you aren't following me on Instagram or on YouTube, give me a follow and get involved in the daily questions. I'd love to hear from you and your answers. And I'll talk about the daily questions on my podcast as well, as it's obviously a little space filler as well and extends it. So we'll ask the daily question in the podcasts as well. So I hope that you enjoy these podcasts. Remember to give it a like, give it a follow, and leave a review as well because it helps push it out to everybody. So until next time, everyone, remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben, everyone. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Gardening with Ben. I hope you have found some useful tips and inspiration for your own gardening and allotment journey. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a new episode. And if you have a moment, I'd love for you to leave a review and share the podcast with fellow gardening enthusiasts. Your support helps us grow this community and continue bringing you great content. You can also follow us on social media on every platform called Gardening with Ben for daily gardening tips and updates. Happy gardening, and until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben.